Hello, beautiful souls. Elena Fouché here. I want to share some steps for assertiveness. Boundary setting is challenging, and that's largely because, of course, when we're asking ourselves to be assertive, it's when a boundary has been crossed, and so we're feeling uncomfortable, and we're asking ourselves to be polite and kind and respectful when we're setting boundaries, so that we don't get assertive and mean and snarky and horrible. It's challenging. Okay, so I've spent some time thinking about some steps that I'm going to use to be assertive, and I'm sharing these with you. Here they are. First is when a boundary gets crossed and I realize I want to say something, first thing to do is ground and center. Really what I mean is resource and center. So resourcing is a kind of grounding, and it's a way to find safety inside. So that can mean, how do you resource yourself, right? For me, I feel my feet, and that's really safety for me because I remember that my feet are on the ground and the ground is supporting me. For you, it could be a visualization of something that feels really safe and beautiful and calming for you. It could be accessing an emotion, like pulling in some kind of emotion. It could be finding another part of your body that feels really safe for you. So however you do that, step one, resource, right? Ground into something that feels safe, because as mentioned earlier, the biggest problem here is that we're already feeling uncomfortable. We're already feeling transgressed or upset or ugh. So find some safety and comfort in yourself first, as much as you can, and also centering in your own truth, like going as deeply into your own truth as you can. Be careful, because you're upset, so you're going to have to navigate through some of your really strong emotions. Don't get stuck there, right? Don't start centering and get to the level of like crazy emotion and be like, that's not helpful. Keep going, right? Get into the deepest truth of yourself that you can, and find some safety in yourself. So that's the first thing, ground and center. The second thing is create a container. So before you voice out whatever it is you're gonna say, right? Whatever assertiveness statement you're gonna make, create a container. You're basically signaling to the other person, hey, I'm about to say something that's at least uncomfortable for me, and I want to let you know so that you don't feel blindsided. Because this person is probably going along and like they're feeling fine. And so if you just bleh out with, I feel horrible right now, they're going to be like, what? What? Right? So create a container. Let them know. So you could say something like, is it okay if I tell you how I'm feeling right now? Or I don't like to ask permission. I know myself. So I will say something like, I'd like to tell you how I feel, or how I feel about that. One of the tricks with the container is to do it in a calm and kind way so that you set the tone, right? So if I say, hey, I'm going to tell you how I feel, that's a lot different than saying, I'm going to tell you how I feel about this, right? It's honest and it's calm and it's respectful. And so I'm setting the tone. I'm creating a container of calm respect. It's a bit challenging, and that's part of the container. That's okay. Once they agree, then say what you want to say. And I recommend actually memorizing a statement. So it helps if you think about where often do you get your boundaries crossed? Is there a friend that does it often? Is there a situation? And pre-memorize a statement. Popular ones are I statements, like I feel uncomfortable when this is happening, or I feel uncomfortable when you do this, or I feel, right? I statements are classic things to use in assertiveness because we're taking responsibility for ourselves, and really I'm the one that's feeling it. I'm the one that's having a problem. So own it. Yeah, there's lots of different ways you could play this. So do what makes sense for you and memorize it. And yeah, that feels a little stilted and weird, but the whole thing feels stilted and weird, especially if you're not used to it. So better to feel stilted and weird and already have something to say so you don't have to think too much about it, right? Okay, so create the container, well, ground and center, create the container, signal to them that you're about to say something, say it, and then ground and center again, resource again. Because while you're waiting for their response, you want to make sure you are as feeling as safe, as calm, as centered as you can, because it's likely they're gonna come back at you with some resistance, and that's normal, and that's okay. And you want to be as grounded and centered and calm and safe as you can be, because you want to maintain that tone. You want to maintain that container of safety and calmness, and let them be in it. And so give them a bit of time to like, rah, whatever they need to do, and let them come down and soften. And you staying calm will help them do that. So while you're listening to their response, make sure that you are grounding and centering. You're resourcing and centering in yourself. Okay, and then let the conversation happen from there. Maybe you want to offer a solution, or maybe you want to discuss some solutions, or maybe you just say, we don't know how to fix this right now, and at least I've said something, so maybe in the future one of us will think of something. Anyway, you got it out, right? You let them know what was happening. So maybe you discuss a solution, maybe you don't. Okay. Crucial, last step, close the container. Let them know that you're done. You've said what you needed to say. Danger's over, right? And it's simple. You can just say, thank you for listening. I really appreciate that. Or thank you for having this discussion with me. Something like that. But just signal that you're done now so that everyone can relax. So you can let it go. And equally as important, if it comes up again later in the conversation, reopen the container. Signal to them again that you want to talk about it again. Because what you don't want to do is, you have this conversation in this safe container and everyone's like dealing with it okay. You close the container and then later you come back and eat, right? They're going to feel blindsided again. So say again, signal again. I want to share again how I'm feeling about this, right? So open the container again. And the containers are hugely important. I mean, you can use containers for all kinds of conversations. Anything that's difficult to talk about. And I feel like assertiveness is a really good one, right? So open and close the container every time you want to use it. All right, I'm going to be playing with this. I'd love to know how it goes for you. Let us know. I'm sure community will get a lot out of your suggestions and comments if you care to share. So please do. Hope that helps. Take care and see you next time.